Good afternoon, Peter. It is Thursday the 19th of August. In response to your video this morning, I also believe that magic should have a cost. However, I think the possible cost you put on it is a little bit high. It is my suggestion that instead of doing exactly the opposite, it does perhaps half the opposite. So if you're trying to heal someone for 60 points and it goes wrong, you end up doing 30 points of damage. Although, with combative spells, I don't think there should be a risk of them healing the opponent. I think it would make more sense if instead of doing 20 points of damage to your opponent, you end up doing 10 points of damage to yourself. But that's just my suggestion, and you should do whatever you want because it is your universe. In my Wizards Don't Cry universe, there are 3 different types of magic users. There are wizards, witches, and magicians. Wizards draw energy from within themselves and pass the magic out through tattoos, and they need different tattoos for different spells. So a really experienced, old, broadcasting wizard's just going to be covered in heaps of different types of tattoos. Witches get their magical energy from nature, and they cast their spells through physical movement, through dance. And magicians, the poor bastards, need to use magical implements. They don't have any natural magic. They need like wands and rods and staves and swords and hats and rings and things like that. And the magic runs out of those things and they need to go put more magic into it. In the Wheel of Time universe, which I discussed on Tuesday, the channelers get the magic from the true source. They don't have any within themselves, and then they weave patterns of magic to cast spells. But it exhausts them to cast these spells and they need to rest. And if they draw in too much of the true source, they risk killing themselves or burning themselves out so that they can't cast any more magic. In the David Eddings Belgariad universe, magic is called the will and the word. The caster needs to have the will to do whatever they're trying to do, and they need to say a word in order to do it. No, not like abracadabra. They say things like be not, or explode, or door. And for most of their spells, they draw in energy from around them. But if they're going to create something and make something new, then that energy comes from within themselves. And once again, if they try to cast too much magic, they risk making it so they can never cast magic again. But also, if they try to do something which is beyond their ability or is just flat out impossible, they risk obliterating themselves. In Jim Butcher's The Furies of Calderon series, people don't actually cast magic. They employ the help of elemental spirits called Furies, and certain people can only communicate with certain Furies, and some people can communicate with more Furies, and some people can only communicate with weak Furies. But absolutely every human in this universe has at least some contact with some Furies, except the main character. That's a really interesting series. I recommend you read that one. Jim Butcher's The Furies of Calderon. In Jim Butcher's other magical universe, the Dresden Files, there are dozens of different kinds of spellcasters. In the Terry Brooks sort of Shannara universe, there are once again heaps of different ways to cast magic, but the one I wanted to mention is called the Wish Song. People who have this ability literally sing magic. It's been a really long time since I've read that series, so I can't remember what kind of a physical cost that has on. In the pen and paper role-playing game Don't Rest Your Head, people get special abilities through insanity. The more crazy you are, the more powerful you are. However, the more you try to do, the more crazy you risk becoming. In the Harry Potter universe, magic isn't really explored very much or explained. Obviously, there's people who can cast magic and people who can't, and witches and wizards use wands to amplify and direct their magic, and using too much magic exhausts you. And in another magical universe that I never did anything with, there were words of power. Basically, the bloke who created the entire world spoke it into being, and over time people have discovered certain words which will have certain effects. Brom. And I'll see you tomorrow with your much anticipated Friday Roundup.